Yes indeed, for it is time, well, nearly time. The 14th of Beta Rita approacheth, and on that day we shall enjoy our chocolate shapes, and it shall be time for the festival of Saint Bolim the Enjoyer. And I've just realised that my microphone cable is wrapped around the arm. There we go, I have turned it. All is once again sweetness and light in the world of the SWDP and the e-chapel, which is open this evening, as it is indeed at 7 p.m. UK time every Friday for a little hint of Discordian fun and indeed enlightenment. Although, of course, when we talk of such things, we must first invoke the disclaimer, which we shall go through as we do, in order to provide a cradle of familiarity for all the brethren, sistren, and those who do not like to be pigeonholed. All of you freaks, geeks, and every one of you totally unique, of course. But let us get down to it. All acts of Discordianism portrayed herein are for spiritual entertainment purposes only. No spiritual enlightenment or transcendent experience is offered or implied. Leaps of faith and logical backflips are performed by trained sophists. Do not attempt to recreate at home. Any resemblance to other religions, alive, dead, or merely untenable, is entirely coincidental. Hail Eris and immanentize the eschaton are brands of the Discordian Society. All associated intellectual property rights are probably also wrongs, just the way they are these days for Nord. Yes, so there we are. That was the disclaimer, and of course we follow this up by just running you through the order of service for this evening, the 10th of Beta Rita in the year of Our Lady 2025. We are of course going to have Deep Thoughts. Eris is still out. Clander has been moved up to follow Deep Thoughts directly. We'll have a reflective tarot from the tarot deck, which is sitting here ready. It's been, of course, shuffled and cut so that the relevant card has been risen to the top. This is what we are thinking of most of all. And then, of course, we will finish the Friday service with the weekly sacrament, which I have strawberry flavoured tubes. Your sacrament may be tubed or not. It may be strawberry flavoured or not. It may be an actual hot dog. Who knows? But let us dive straight into Deep Thoughts. And the Deep Thought man is either experiencing some sort of medical issue. Poor old Deep Thought man. No wonder he's sitting on a cool rock, maybe to soothe his heated behind. Or maybe that is just a branch, or indeed a stick. For that is the Deep Thought this week. We are thinking about the fact that we Discordians are enjoined to stick apart. It's come to my attention, and really, I guess as a pastor of the Discordian Church, I should temp on these pastoral issues, such as the fact that the Western world at this present time is undergoing a period of those are the squirrel cards, undergoing a period of loneliness, a loneliness epidemic, as we would have it. And although in this present time, in which loneliness is apparently an epidemic, I have a family, and they don't give me time to be lonely. In fact, you will know, possibly if you've been following along, that the absence of my family, although my heart becomes sore with their absence and I want them back, but still, when they've just about left, my reaction is very similar to that one little lad in that one little film who is like, my family have left me behind on my own. We do indeed have a word for it. The word we bandy about in my family is unsupervised. And unsupervised time is prized. It's prized by me. It is prized by Mrs. Koney. It is not prized by my son because he's 8 years old and hence is attended at all times to make sure he doesn't put his hand in a meat slicer or his head in a leaf grinder or any of the other unfortunate things that could happen and befall to a minor who is left unattended during their youthful years while they are learning not to be such a damn idiot. So yeah, the elder members of the household do enjoy some unsupervised time, and that is that. So we have the opposite of loneliness. We have things like cabin fever, getting on each other's nerves, whatever it is. But that does not mean that I have not felt the bitter sting of loneliness in my younger days. In fact, it is the usual irony of life that I spent a lot of time being lonely, and then I got together with my partner and we got married and we've had children, and now I look back on those days and think, God, you wasted a lot of time feeling lonely at those times. And just to tie this back into Discordianism, Discordians, they're not enjoined, but it was mentioned that we Discordians tend to stick apart. Discordian communes have amended this to, well, we do, but we stick apart together. But the days of Discord, I don't know of any Discordian communes that are running at the moment. Not one. And it's all very difficult anyway, because as we've discussed probably in the past, Discordianism is a winding, complicated, deceitful path that leads you to question whether you yourself are in fact a Discordian believer. If there were a Discordian commune, then and they could tune in every week at 7 p.m. UK time, then they would be welcome to join the SWDPs at each apple, and that would provide some sort of rhythm of Discordianism throughout the lives. I mean, that is interesting. I guess that's an interesting thing that I've just said, because of course we're supposed to cleave towards chaos. We're supposed to be chaotic in our approach, and yet the idea of there being a service you can attend at a regular time every week is not very chaotic. But I think that in chaos you can have rhythms, and this is one of the rhythms that helps you maintain the chaos elsewhere. But another thing that might help is friends. But as we are worshippers of chaos, and as we don't like to take things at face value, I think that there is a lot of cultural hoopla that says that friends are just a good, that having more friends is necessarily better because every friend is a treasure, and as the Muppets Christmas Carol reminds us or enjoins us to think, if you want to know the measure of a man, you simply count his friends, which we always watch that at Christmas and go, well, no, counting them. And how do you count them? How do you know? Because there are layers of friendship. Was he a close friend? Do you know what I mean? That kind of talk is not unusual when talking about friends. And the minute you pick even the slightest hole in a concept, then you've got to wonder: is it just a net? Could things just slip through? Is this where we're at with it? And I will tell thee yes, that is absolutely the case right now. Friends do have pros, of course, and they have cons. That's the point, you see. When people talk about friendship, they only ever talk about it as a pro thing. Like, if you've got a friend, that's unarguably great. But here at the SWDP this week in Deep Thoughts, we're going to say friends. No, is it worth it? Is it worth it? One of the pros of friends is that you can have a conversation with a friend. Now, you can have a conversation with yourself, with a deity, with a pot plant, with a pet, whatever you want. But really, they say that the primo is to have a conversation with another person of the same species who has the same linguistic bent as yourself, and that is top drawer. But we don't ask questions such as how much is enough. Like, I have a friend. Now we're very handy. Me and my friend, we both have ADHD. And one of the neurodiverse traits that serves us well is that we don't really need to maintain the friendship all the time. We don't have to put in time every month or whatever it is. We just, like, when we can get together, we have a good old time, and then we sort of save it in the bank, and next time we meet up, there's no like, oh, where were you at this time? I mean, I think, that's the thing, you see. I think there is a thing where you can reach out to someone if you're in need of their presence. And I think that you should be asking yourself, do I need my friend at this time? And if the answer is no, then leave them the hell alone, because that's the friendly thing to do. But let us talk about the first con with friends. Friends are a time sink. Yeah, like no matter whether you have this golden friendship status of the ADHD pairing who can not see each other for like 5 years and then still be, wow, just as friendly when they get back together as they were the last time they saw them. But every minute you spend with a friend, you're putting time into the friendship. Yeah, it might be thought of as aggressively conservative thing. Even going for coffee for someone for an hour is a time sink, but it is. You're not doing anything else during that time. You are engaged in the act of friendship, relationship building. And indeed, video games have turned this into a mechanic that you must maintain friendships. They do it very poorly, but that's not the point. The point is that they do recognize that a relationship can cost you. If you are being a friend, you can't be doing anything else that might be equally or more useful. You must just be being a friend. So friends do take up time. And if you're willing to put in the time and the effort, and the thing is, it's varying. It's like I said, my ADHD friend is very low maintenance. ADHD friends as a whole are very low maintenance. It's your neurotypicals. They're very needy. If you don't speak them for ages, they're like, oh, I forgot all about you. It's like, well, there we go, you see. So you have to assess on a friend-by-friend basis how much of a time commitment they are. And that's the thing. I think that people often are nervous about making friends because they are aware that they have defects, but they always think of other people like friendships exist in this mythical mental space where a person spending time with you is always de facto good, and anything you find irritating about that process is de facto you being a screw up. Yeah, but you should change your think on that. The point is, like anything else, some people might be a delicious candy and other people might be a piece of broccoli, but we always think, when we think of that broccoliness of being in someone's presence, that person therefore is someone you don't get on with, that you don't want to be friends with. And it's like, well, no, not necessarily. You might find someone intelligent and great sense of humour and you have a good laugh when you're together, but you could still be like, yeah, but they do take up a lot of my time, or I've got time that I want to spend by myself doing my things, and maintaining this friendship eats into that time. It's perfectly reasonable to think about stuff in that term. And to be honest, if you were to openly discuss this Discordian attitude towards friendship with them and they have a problem with it, that there is what we in the trade like to call a red flag, because they too should be like, oh, thank God you said that, because honestly, making time for other people is a little bit onerous, tedious, whatever it is. Now, there is a level at which, obviously, as I said, I've got a family. If you've got a family, if you've undertaken that particular life path, then although these things are accepted and a given, you should, on balance, be very comfortable around one another. The whole point is that with your family members, you're going to let it all hang out. Now, that's actually quite an unusual thing to say, because what people find when they grow up, as they grow up, is that their family becomes people they feel intensely awkward about letting it all hang out around. And therefore, their actual biological family puts it in their head that they will never, in the company of others, be able to just, as we say, let it all hang out. Be themselves, as it were. All the ugly and the rest of it and all that. Yeah. That is what you can get into your head from your bio family, right? But the key is that your real family aren't like that. You really do get a degree. Now, there is always going to be that extra special quality to actually being left the hell alone. Yeah. Don't think other of that. This camera, I'm just realizing, that's better. That's more where we want the camera to be. It's interesting. I didn't think that the computer was. Now it looks like it's slightly off kilter on the desk, but we should also probably bring it a bit closer. There we are. That's the badger right there. So yeah, we should absolutely take into account the fact that we are going to have to maintain a sort of a status where our identity is somewhat compromised because we're sharing space with someone else, and that's absolutely valid. To be aware of that and your limits and your boundaries. You know, people talk about boundary setting as if it's only something we do with someone who's really getting up in under your skin. But really, you have to set boundaries with almost everyone. And alone time should always be regarded as a kind of golden time. And people are very, very bad. I was very, very bad when I was on my own regarding it as such. But you should really be like, you know, it's really easy to grasp that. You need to get really deep into a relationship with another person before you start to realize that there are some aspects where when you're on your own, it's a privilege. You know, it's a balancing act. It's very difficult. But the fact is that any time, if someone's taking time out of their day to spend with you, cool. But you are also taking time out of your day to spend with them. And that is how equality becomes a thing in friendship. Helps maintain the power balance, as it were. Also, friends may gift you with free stuff. That is definitely a thing that is a pro of friends. They may buy you a drink, buy you a coffee, buy you an ice cream, buy you a present on your birthday, buy you a present at Christmas. They may do stuff like that. This is part of the mechanics of friendship. And also, you know, gifting you with time that they spend on stuff, helping you out with things that, you know, make tasks go faster because there's two of you, not one. There is a marvelous mythical place where when you're moving house, a friend comes round and helps you box things up, move them from place to place, all in exchange for pizza and some beers. I've never experienced that, but apparently it happens. So there we go. I am not a witness of that myself. Maybe someone you know is. Maybe you yourself have benefited from this. Yeah, friends are unreliable. I mean, they're their own people with their own brains. Yeah. And sometimes friends don't act the way you want them to. And this indeed is one of the things where it's like this is going to be taxing. Part of relating to the world is, well, there's that saying, isn't there, which is favoured of those who have become addicted to something and then they have moved away from it, to say, you know, grant me the wisdom to, or give me the strength to change the things I can, the grace to accept the things I can't, and the wisdom to tell the difference between the two. But yeah, that is, I mean, the reason that's such a cliche is because it is relevant. All people should learn. These are the things that I have complete control over. There is a big bunch of things I have varying degrees but lesser control over. And, you know, friends, let friends down in some way. Maybe it's a big thing, maybe it's a small thing. Friends can be unreliable. Don't rely on a friend. I mean, the good thing for me about, I mean, the family thing, there's a big, that's, you know, this is what people are afraid of with commitments and things like that. If you are in a situation where you are in a relationship, then the burden is that you must be the most reliable person in the other person's life. You must learn how to be that thing, because this is one of the things that helps you lower the barriers that allow you both to act, you know, as yourselves in each other's presence. Yeah. But anything other than that, and if a person says, oh, we were going to meet up on this day, but I can't do it anymore, or, oh, I'd really like to attend this, but I can't attend this, or any of that, right? You have to be in a position to just be like, oh, yeah, that's fine. I can't tell you what to do. And people do enter into these sort of bargaining statuses where they're like, well, if you're some friend you are if you don't do X, and throw around guilt and heavy vibes like that. And you know, whatever works for you. Maybe some people, you know, enjoy getting involved in such an incident, but I am not one of those people, and probably never was. I mean, this is the thing, where I was in a sort of loop, I never put on 23 this service. Weirdly, I always notice that about 23 minutes through the service. Should we do a quick 23 now that the service has been running for 23 minutes? That does include the slides at the beginning, but, you know, 23 is 23, so here we are. It is 23, just for a couple of minutes. A minute, because it's the 23rd minute. So, yeah, we're in here now for a minute. That's the point. 23 is not like a friend. One, you might not want it to turn up at all. I mean, we were in the middle of something there, and 23's just coming, you know, broken in right there. And 23 isn't unreliable. It is reliable. 23 will arrive when it arrives, and you can't do anything about that. So 23 stands as a thing where 23 is not your friend and will not be your friend, even if you greet it as a friend every time it comes by. Yeah, 23 is just 23. So I think that's a good point to accept, that our 23 is passed for this time. So we'll go back here. Let's look at the next good thing about friends. The real X was the friends we made along the way. Indeed, friendship, this is a reflection of the fact that friendship is an intrinsic quality. It is seen as a quality in and of itself. And whether that's good or bad is up to you. I mean, I think there's not many people. I think that people generally regard having put in the work to have a friendship as being a good thing. In fact, there's lots of things in stories about people who were once real tight who are now not real tight, and people reflecting that it's a hell of a shame that they were not real tight together again. So, you know, there's that. What we're saying is that the quality of being friends with someone, having a friend, being in a state of friendship, is intrinsic. It's just a thing that kind of exists, and you might not even realize it has come to exist. People realize that although people were just companions, now they are friends, and so on and so forth. You come to realize that all you used to be friends with someone, you haven't contacted them in a long time, and you're not ADHD friends, and therefore friendship has drifted. You know, so the status of having a friend is malleable, changeable. I saw many of the people, the video that I inspired this, talking about how they had a friend and the friend moved away. And this shows a friendship that is purely geographical. And in fact, there are people, and I think those people I think it's definitely the case that many people who feel these, really grieve a friend who has left the areas are looking for a specific thing in a friend, that they're just always going to be in each other's faces. Which is interesting to me as someone who, agrees largely that's, you know, what's the point of having a friendship if you can't just be in each other's faces all the time. But I went and got myself a relationship and had a family, and that's how that works. So now I don't really need to bug a person who I'm not in a relationship with. But that is interesting. If you feel that you're not quite in it for the relationship but you want the friendship, I think there is a point at which, people used to, in the past of lax health and safety guidelines and not so much general public awareness of blood diseases, they used to do that, you know, blood brothers. In fact, there was an interregnum in that time when you used to spit on your palms. Even that is regarded as a bit filthy now, as indeed maybe it should. But that's the point. People swearing oaths that was a thing. Maybe they still do that, I don't know, but it's not. I don't think it's popular now, and I think it's sort of it shows how the popularity has drifted in that people swearing oaths used to be, they had to be some kind of shared trauma or something, like just in the recent past for people to swear oaths, and then and often people don't feel that that's even a thing now. And the other thing that I think shows us that oaths have become a different stock in trade is the rise of things like accountability groups for creative endeavors. Are those people friends? Difficult to say. I mean, that's a thing as well. I mean, friendship, like art and so on. What is friendship? I don't know. I'll know it when I see it. So, you know, it's a more, the thing is, I think people think that it's something you just know it, which maybe is partially true, but honestly, it doesn't hurt to try and define it. What is it? What do I consider a friend? And it can be different from person to person. So, you know, I mean, this is the thing. It's trickier than it looks. And I think the Discordian Katma on this matter just serves to sort of highlight. I mean, remember, this is the 60s, that blood brother thing, that was still ongoing at such a time. I mean, another thing that probably damaged a lot of oaths was the fact that in the end, you kind of think maybe I'm going to enter into a relationship, and people are always going on about, you know, people being, you know, same-sex friends being jealous of your new partner who you're going to marry. And indeed, a relationship is a heavy burden. It's difficult to maintain an oath and a serious relationship. So, you know, life is life, and we have to accept that, and we have to go in with our eyes open. And yes, the last con is that having a friend, being a friend, having a friend to do stuff with, can be habit forming. Yeah, like sometimes you can be friends with someone and then realize that you haven't really seen things eye to eye in a long time. You've kind of, as people say, drifted apart. And I think that the thing about it is that all of this commentary we've had, where we've just taken an ambivalent look at the concept of friendship, I think that people generally tend to put too much stock, and it's because of that intrinsic value of friendship, where, you know, it's intrinsically a thing. Wow, there's friendship. Wow, it's intrinsically, you know, friendship and that. Yeah, that is why people necessarily kind of just come down assuming that they should be, you know. And then there's a thing where maybe naturally your own you know, subconscious has said, you know, a friend moves away and you don't really mourn that they've gone. You wonder, was I such a good friend? You start to doubt yourself, and it's all because you're kind of not looking in the mirror. You're not thinking, what to me is a friend? What requirements do I have from a friend? Yeah, and I mean, I think another advantage of doing such an exercise where we define what we think, you know, a friendship is and what it should be for us and stuff, it does take the pressure off, because when we go out on an expedition where we try and get ourselves a friend, yeah, I think part of the anxiety is, will I know when I've found one? And indeed, if you've got like a sort of checklist, it could be that when you actually experience the real thing of being able to, having an opportunity to have a friend and so on and so forth, your list becomes ridiculous and you suddenly realize you've made it all wrong, because no plan, you know, ever survives contact with the enemy, which is weird because we're calling your friends your enemies. It's all very paradoxical, but there we go. That you may find that it's easier to go about making friends if you're pretty sure that it's going to be, you know, say, is it going to be an easy process? Are my requirements easy to fulfill? Are they more difficult? Well, if they're easy, then you should have a great time finding a bunch of friends, because your friendship definition is pretty, you have defined yourself as low maintenance. Yeah. But then on the other hand, if you have defined your requirements quite strictly and you want strict things, then you can relax, because on any given expedition, you're very unlikely to meet anyone who fits the bill. So you're just, you know, going through a long list of things that could happen. So yeah, I mean, I think the nice thing about this topic is that it is very interactive. The bad thing about this topic is that if you want to interact with it, you're going to have to, at this stage, be asynchronous, and you're going to have to leave your comments about it in the comment section underneath, because it will only be asynchronous friends. There are no friends here to talk about, you know, their own experiences. And had there been, I would have asked, you know, do you feel you have enough friends? You know, with no judgment, you know, just like, do you feel you have enough? What if you've got enough? You know, are you feeling that you're just going to go out and make more? In which case, do you have anything to share? You know, lots of stuff like that. My own personal take on it is that I haven't really needed to get involved in, you know, much friendship. You know, essentially, me and my friend, the ADHD friend that I have, I got to a birthday a couple of years ago, and I went, I'd just like to go out and have a drink, see who's about, you know, just not anything crazy, like just a quiet beer, and we'll just go. And he said, I'll do it. And nobody else said they would, but we went out and we had a great time. So, you know, and that's sort of maintained from that point. I return the favour, go out and have beers with him on his birthday, although he doesn't really need it. He seems to have a number of people that turn up to celebrate his aging process, so that's fine. And the good thing is, we're just there in each other's way, and we've made plans, and then those plans have come to nothing. But it clearly doesn't matter to either of us, and so our friendship requirements are just, you know, if it comes down to it, if there's a feeling that we should do something in the spirit of fellowship, we can be there for each other, even if nobody else is, and that's our friendship. So that's just the way I roll. You could have a completely different experience, different set of requirements, you know, and so on and so forth. But I realise even in the days when I was alone, I was perfectly happy to, for example, go to the cinema by myself. Quite appreciated that, actually. You know, if you know, you go to the cinema with friends or friend, and there's always a thing of, in addition to watching a cool movie, you're also managing that social experience with that other person. And honestly, is there anything more off-putting when you're trying to watch a movie than also having to manage a social experience? You want to concentrate on the movie. So I've always been that guy, so it doesn't really matter. And these days, I guess it seems that I am there for ultimately laid back on the subject of friends, other people, socialising, all that. But I used to be a little bit more pinched about it. But when I look back at it, I realise it's just because I hadn't done anything process like the one I'm suggesting here. So does that make me a hypocrite? I think absence of knowledge, or anyone really telling me, probably excuses me from that charge. Nobody said to me in the spirit of seriousness, friends, who needs them? And indeed, in narrative depictions, the person who says friends, who needs them, is always evil. But it's not about that. It's about, don't you think you got cool stuff to do? I think that the modern world as well does make it a lot more easy to be in superficial situations where friendship might be a thing. But anyway, we shall move on. I'm thinking that Kanda is not going to happen this time, which is fine by me. But just in case, you know, if there's someone lurking about and I don't know about, who has a burning question about topics we've discussed in this service or anything else, actually I should take a moment to remind you all, because it's going to happen probably about 7 p.m. on the 14th, same as the normal service, because I'm working in the day on Tuesday. There will be a special service for the Saints' Day in this season, the service dedicated to Saint Bolam the Enjoyer, and indeed he has decreed that we shall be enjoying chocolate shapes. I think any kind of chocolate shape is fine, as long as it is actually a chocolate shape. I was seeing things like I think we're back. We just dropped momentarily. looks like we're back. I don't know why they don't want to tell you. They want me to tell you about Saint Bolim and his Saint's Day, or her Saint's Day, their Saint's Day. I don't know why that is. Now I'm going to have to obviously download this service and cut it back together for upload to YouTube. It's always a little bit tedious, but you know, that's what has been decreed on this occasion. So there we are. Good. Right. Okay. So where are we at? We were at Kandar. I was reminding you about St. Bolim the Enjoyer, 14th of January. Be there or be square. Let us move on. Time for the reflective tarot. Yes, indeed. It is time once again to gaze into the wonderful pasteboard squares that reveal unto us a subconscious cue for meditation and consideration for the following week. And last week, if you recall, we had the Three of Swords, which is probably a bit of a bummer. Did you experience a small betrayal, a slight annoyance, a kink in the road last week? Thankfully, those things that were not to plan, I wasn't really disappointed by them this week, so I got away largely unscathed. And here we are with a new card which has been shuffled to the top following the 5 shuffles and a cut system that we have adopted to ensure that the ritual takes place the same way every time. I have not looked at this card, so we're going to see it together roundabout. Now we have we get a lot of royals. We get a lot of royals using this method. It's unbelievable, in fact, the amount of royals we've had. And tonight we get the Queen of Pentacles. So Queen vibe is to make changes to one's approach to an energy in the hope of effecting change in the world. We're trying to make an outward change via the medium of changing our own internal approach to such matters. And in the case of Pentacles, we are talking about the suit of security, the vibe of our own personal comfort, which is interesting because we just had a deep thoughts regarding the issue of friendship. And yes, friendship being a matter that we take onto our own. If we change our attitude towards the way we measure friendship, maybe we will be happier in the arena of the friends that we have, which would certainly count as a pentacle-y type of energy. And what's really interesting, aside from that, is that usually people like Pentacles is all about, career and things like that. And I really wanted a different thing. Actually, maintaining your friends, not your relationships, your close relationships, although, to be fair, that does also count as... keep up, stream elements. That does also count as an area of security. But friendship, or the circle of friends that you have and who they are and what they are and how that is all defined, is in fact a fine example of low, I mean, still some stakes, but lower stakes pentacle energy. I think, how you get money to, live and stuff like that. That's quite high stakes. Indeed, any marriages or long-term partnerships you have, or parental responsibilities, parental relationships with your bio family, all of that stuff, it's quite high stakes. Mentally, our consciousness is predisposed to make those things high stakes. But the matter of those other friends, the ones in the next level out, who are just like my best buds and stuff, relatively lower stakes. And if you're having difficulty in that region, maybe making some changes along the lines that I suggested will help you out. As the pastor, I am allowed, as most pastors are, to offer advice like that with no evidence or qualification other than being a Pope stroke pastor. So I'm going to do that because that's what is allowed in the reams of the role that I have undertaken. And that was this week's the Queen of Pentacles. So there we go. That was Reflective Tarot. Wonderful. And we're here. We're here at last. Not at long last, because it's not been the super longest service. In fact, service-wise, we're on the shorter side. We've managed to cram it all in. Deep Thoughts, 23, Tarot. Yes, it's all... Oh, good. It's always helpful in one way or another if we don't have actual congregants coming in, but then of course that makes the service less dynamic and more asynchronous. So yeah, no, I mean, yes, so there we go, that's what we know. So if you have a sacrament at home, and remember, during the course of the Discordian service, wherever you are, we can presume it is Friday while the service is playing. You can have a little slice of Friday. You could put it on any day of the week that you like, and that's how that works. But if you actually are here, it really is Friday. Well, it is where I'm sitting anyway. Where I'm sitting is what counts. And we, of course, prefer our sacrament to be tubular and strawberry flavoured, ideally. That's just an SWTP preference. You can do whatever you want. I've had people with strawberry flavoured drinks, or tubular things that are not strawberry flavoured, or whatever it is. Don't think I've ever had anyone actually have an actual hot dog, which does tend to support my theory that eating an actual hot dog every Friday is not anyone's favourite idea. But of course, we have the hot dog sacrament replacement, and we have the pre-sacrament ritual verse, which goes like this: I could not find a hot dog, not even with a bun, so I eat this, insert name of foodstuff or drink here, because devotion comes with fun. Hail Eris. And on this sugary occasion, we remember that Tuesday, the 14th of Beta Rita, the festival of Saint Bolim, will bring us far more sugary deliciousness, and of course the opportunity to reflect upon enjoyment itself. So there we are. And I guess that's about all we wrote for this 10th of Beta Rita Friday service. If you have been with us, if you dropped in during the live, just wanted to lurk in, take in the service, jolly good show. If you are asynchronous and you are enjoying the service, your little slice of Friday and your opportunity to follow the ways of Discordia, on your own schedule. Also, much blessing be upon you. I shall be back, of course, on the 14th, the Festival of Saint Bolim, 7 p.m. English time, British time, English time. I'm in Wales. It's the South Wales Discordian Press. Wales, Welsh, not English. Okay, bad. Shouldn't say English. So UK time. So there I will be on the 14th to run us through a Saints' Day service and eat some chocolate. Which, honestly, I mean, the last Saints' Day, there was a special meal that we had to eat. It was very, in the spirit of, people who love St Andrew, the Scottish patron saint of Scotland, eating neeps and tatties, and people who like St David's having a bit of leek soup. I don't think we eat daffodils. That's the other thing. There isn't really, I mean, the thing, yes, I mean, whatever. Easter, of course, eating hot cross buns, stuff like that. Just things like that. But a meal in this case. So more like the sort of turkey thing. And we had meatballs and pasta. But I didn't need it live in the service because I thought, well, Nobody wants to watch me consume an entire bowl of meatballs and pasta live on air, but chocolate shapes. Praise be to Eris. Something we can all share as a communal experience and enjoy. For, of course, St. Bolim loves to see us enjoying ourselves. We should all enjoy ourselves communally together in the chapel. That will happen on the 14th of Beta Rita, aka next Tuesday, around about 7 p.m. UK time. I hope that I can get this out to YouTube due to the small break that we experienced. I have to download and edit, which is always time consuming. But all being well, we should be able to do it. Thank you very much for coming to the service. Although, to be fair, I should really be thanking you. You should be thanking me because it's a service. That's the point. I am serving Discordians by giving them a little space for their Discordian nature, as it were. And I hope that we can be friends in that totally parasocial. Please don't talk to me. Leave me alone. Although, do leave comments on my videos. That's fine. Comments on videos, good. Being in the chat, good. Anything else? I don't think we know each other well enough. So yeah, just bear that in mind. And thanks for watching.